By the way, before I hear the next question or contribution, I just want to just try this. I mean, who amongst us here is willing to pay for their children to go to senior high school, even when we still have free senior high school policy? Who is willing to pay? You will pay for your child. You, yes, Professor Mangwa said to write your name, so don't just raise your hand. I just want to test this theory. I just want to test this theory. Who amongst, and I want to see by hand, seriously. Okay, so this is like 50% of the house. Oh, it's not 50. Well, what percentage do you see? 35%. He says he sees 35%. Say again. 60%. Okay, let's take the high side of it, 60%. That leaves 40% of the people in this room who say they won't pay. What? I should ask the question again. Okay. The question is, which of us, who amongst us here is willing, okay, to pay for the awards to go to senior high school, even when there is a policy to make it free? Who amongst us here will do that? You will pay. You will put money into it. I don't see any hands here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's between 60 and 40% of the house. 70%. Okay. Okay. So that's the question. So there's 30% of us here at least. It's a bad assumption. No, but I'm seeing the hands. I should ask individually. Can you give the microphone to the please give the microphone. I want to, yes.
The fact that they didn't raise their hands doesn't mean they'll pay. So ask the second question.
Uh-huh.
Ask those who will not pay.
Okay. Who amongst us will not pay?
Aha. Now you're talking. Everybody will pay for good quality education. Everybody will.
Okay. So again, the second question, who amongst us will not pay?
So everybody is willing to pay for good quality education.
But not necessarily. I mean, how do you interpret that, by the way? Professor, how do you interpret what we just did? I mean, it's not scientific, but it gives you a sense of what this is. I mean, how do you interpret this? You can speak into this microphone, this one. Yes, it's on.
I think if people are sure that they will have quality for their children, they will pay. Because it won't happen. Even when you have the money, it takes time to train teachers. It takes time to acquire the inputs. It takes time to bring about change in education. But we need a good plan that is verifiable that we can do that. Prof. I think when people have that, they will pay.
Okay. Prof.
Yeah, thank you. Evans, when you asked your first question, I began by saying that over the last 60 years, that parents have always paid. Have we not complained about quality?
Even when we're paying about quality. Yeah.
Have we not complained about quality? So why are we all of a sudden making quality and payment as the moment you pay, you get quality? You know, there are a lot of things that go into it. And until we all come to a consensus and get some of the things right, I am not sure it's just merely about payment. Now, let me also take this opportunity to talk about this. When Prof. Aite spoke, he indicated that GES is averse to parents paying. GES is not averse to anyone contributing to education in terms of funding. GES has always worked with old boys and old girls. Have we ever had a problem with that? No. GES has always worked with partners, USAID, DFID, etc. We've never had any challenge with that. Now, the issue about parents paying through PTA is that we've had situations where students have been sacked from class because they've not paid PTA. And we are saying that it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so. Now that the government is paying the basic that you need to be in school, there's no need for you for 15 cedis, 20 cedis, you drive a student out of class because he's not paid that. And if you do that, that is unfair to the child. PTA is an association. Again, if we look at it critically, it's an association between teachers and parents. How many teachers contribute in terms of money? They don't. It's all about parents paying. And we tie this to the individual students. Said that teachers will go into the class and just do a roll call and say, you haven't paid. Go home and go and bring the money. You know, and we think that that is not fair to the students. Parents can contribute. This fund that we're talking about, if it is activated and people contribute into it, parents and all other people, the hands that we saw, if they contribute into it, then we will then decide on how we're going to use the money. Now, we've had a situation where there is extra classes that parents are supposed to pay. Now, in the extra class, in the main class, the teacher will do a chapter or an aspect of the subject. In the extra class, he continues what he did in the main class. Then next day, he continues. If he's doing chapter by chapter, chapter 1 in the main class, chapter 2 in the extra class, and then chapter 3 in the next class. So if a student was not able to pay, then the student is missing chapter 2 and will not even understand chapter 3. And for us, we think that that shouldn't be the situation. Once the government has agreed to give the funding that you need to go to school, yes, we are all saying that that is not enough, we need more, but we should look at various ways of doing that. Now we talk about this thing that has come up, and we are all supposed to register and all that. Now, if we can develop a system that at the end of the day, you are a watch seller, you sell ice water, whatever, you can come and show some evidence, not the amount per se, but you can come and show some evidence that I have contributed A, B, C. They will say that once you show this evidence, your child will enjoy free SHS. You know, I believe that if we can do this, a lot of people, the poor, the rich, will be willing. That once you show some evidence that these things that you have sold over this period, you have contributed this much as a form of tax to the national kitty. And by way of that, your child can enjoy free SHS. I think it can work to some extent. What we need is to get these ideas and then rework them and see how best it can work for us.
Professor Ite.
Thank you very much. Let me answer the question that the Director General posed first. His question was that previously, when parents were contributing through fee payments, the problems were there. And so taking that away shouldn't be seen as the... Nobody is arguing that the parents' contribution is what caused the problem. We are saying even at that time, there wasn't enough money in the schools. Even when the parents were paying, there wasn't enough money for the schools to run. That's why PTAs and others came in with paying for teacher motivation and all those things. So if the government wants to assist, what the government contribution should be doing is complementing or adding to what was there. not substituting for what was there. You know, as I said, you have 1.1 to 1.3 million coming in. We need not to change anything at all for the schools to run as they were, 3.3. So there's a deficit. That deficit needs to be filled. Parents making contributions is one. And anything else that you want to add to it. Any kind of money. That's why all students contribute. Without all, take a school like Achimota. All students contribute 60% of all the capital expenditure of the school. Parents, PTA, they make the student houses run. Without the contribution of the PTA, the rehabilitation in the houses of the school would not be taking place. So there's a lot that goes in there. When you deny all of these groups the opportunity to make serious, significant contributions, you are basically destroying the system. That's the point we are trying to make over here. You need the government's money, you need the parents' money, you need the private sector, you need all the money, you need donors' money. If we want our children to perform much better than they are doing today, you need at least 4 times the money what we spend in these schools. We need at least 4 times what they're spending in these schools. And the government does not have that money. The government does not have it. Let us not pretend that the money is sitting somewhere and it doesn't have it. So we've got to find it. That's why parents must contribute. You know, there was an earlier question about how to incentivize the private sector to make, I think it's a very important thing. The questioner himself also provided some possibilities. Basically, the private sector will be willing if there's an incentive. A fiscal incentive is one, but there may be other incentives through public education. Many of them recognize the fact that today the quality of the students that they are hiring is not good. And so they need to do something about that. It's a matter of engaging them, having a solid discussion about how to improve on the quality of education, and they making contributions which can be offset against whatever taxes they are paying. I think that discussion must take place. But beyond the tax one, I also talked about PPP. How can some of these institutions have equity stakes in some of the schools that we have? You want modern labs. These cost millions of dollars to establish. The parents can't afford that, and the government can't afford it. They may be international organizations, international companies, and so on. They can afford, and they know what good labs look like. So there's no point in expecting our kids to go to pre-sec and do science and then not be able to compete with other kids from Korea and other places because of the lab conditions. That's what must change. You know, when I said the Ghana Education Service was averse to parents contributing, I wasn't making a reference to the PTA. I was making a reference to parents paying fees. And that the GS has said today, and I've said all the time, that that is against the policy. And I'm saying, let's have a look at that policy. For the purpose of this gathering here today is for us to appraise the whole system, review it. If there's a possibility of the government to consider making parents make a contribution to the fees or the revenues of the schools, I think that should be possible. That should be open for discussion.
Okay. I want to take one last round. I see a lot of hands. What? Good. One there. Where's the other microphone, please? Is there? Is the microphone there with you? The corner there. Okay. And then when you finish, please, I see a lady there behind the cameras, and another lady there. I just want to hear from ladies as well. Yes. Yes, sir. Please, very briefly, in 30 seconds, question or contribution.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Evan Sopokujima, the director for His Majesty Senior High School in Dansuman. A quick one. I personally believe that the government of Ghana wants to give Ghanaian children free education. And I think most of us support that idea. But going forward, you could see that Professor Ennis Aite said that parents who can afford should be made to pay. I also support that same view. But I think the problem here is that this free SHS policy is coming from the government, and it's coming from the MPP political party. So it becomes a political issue. So at this point, I want to urge the Minister of Education, Ghana Education Service, and the government of Ghana to accept this point that parents can afford, some parents can afford. So going forward, they should accept the fact that parents who can afford should be made to pay. That's my point. Thank you.